What's up, guys? NJ here, bringing you everything strategic. Let's talk about Corvettes, my favorite tier of ships. First off, we got the Heavy Missile Corvette CVM. It is okay at DPM overall. It's not a terrible ship, not a bad ship, but nothing too special, really. It can help dish out some damage, but you really want better blueprints. The cannon blueprint is actually better. It might not look like it when you look at it and compare it, but its damage potential, if you have a lot of tech points invested into this, is much better. And it has the highest health pool, so it's a good filler for really soaking up anti-air damage for your Corvettes as just a filler. Next up, we got this guy here. Not even going to mention it. It's a free one you get. It hardly does any damage. Shouldn't even run it in Season 1. Don't ever run it. The S-Levy is a great pull if you pull this. This is probably your, I'd say, second best anti-ship Corvette for doing damage. It's mainly designed, I would say, to take out enemy carriers in the Jaeger with the Strat, to do amazing burst. And I'm going to show you how you can do a 100k burst. People probably don't know how to do this. So this is why I'm going to show you how to do a 100k burst damage against carriers when it's in the Jaeger with the carrier strat. It has an armor pierce strat, so it ignores the physical armor too. Do this with the upgrades, and for the first 2 rounds, full rounds, you will be able to do just max full out damage. And I forget how long the first 2 rounds last. The first round happens pretty much instantly within that first 10, 15, 20 seconds, at least in the game time when you see the battle logs. And stuff, at least if it lasted that long, you'll see your levy do 100k damage approximately or more. I've seen it from like 95k to like 110k. It's probably based on the crit chance and maybe if it does miss a shot or two. But it does amazing burst. Like literally 100k damage with an unupgraded CV out of its health pool is 40% of its health. Silent Assassin, not a good ship. Don't invest points into it unless it's like your first unlock, and then you just start stockpiling points into it. If you did end up doing that, I do give a recommendation to really help drive its damage output. If you have that ship, you actually need that ship, so it's likely it's probably not worth it at all. Or if you just want to have fun testing it out. I do know it has decent damage potential in that specific carrier that I've listed. 95% target lock on is very good too. This is my most favorite Corvette, or my most favorite aircraft personally. I did all sorts of tests on this ship. It is all around, across the board, every single aspect, a great ship. It does amazing Corvette DPM, great anti-fighter DPM. It suffers from lower accuracy. It does great anti-ship DPM. And guess what? It has a high health pool, 100% target lock-on rate, and it's cheap. If you lose it, it's not so bad, especially early game when you first unlock the aircraft hangar. Losing aircraft is usually very costly, except for this guy, which this is probably the first ship, and maybe, depending on how you want to go about it, only aircraft you want to build early game once when you first unlock it, just because of how expensive, or if you lost your other aircraft, how expensive they are to rebuild because you aren't intaking tons of resources yet. Red Beast, it's an okay pull. If you do pull it, it does good damage. Basically, it can do well against frigates, destroyers, and cruisers, because if you give it the cruiser strat, it will do good against cruisers after all the frigates and destroyers are destroyed. Unfortunately, it has a low health pool, and it has a tendency to be targeted first by the enemy Corvettes. At least when I used to run this, that's what I always noticed when I had different blueprints, Corvette blueprints. It was always pretty much first to die. But overall, you know, if you're flanking and doing it, it'll help you out if you don't have a ton of blueprints, or just to pool tech points into here so you're doing decent damage currently, waiting for that next better blueprint. All right, we got the Void Elfin. Void Elfin, I'd say overall is a great ship. Not great for doing anti-ship damage. It's only good at that for destroyers and frigates. Not so much anything above that, but where it shines and its purpose is really soaking damage with its high evasion and its evasion strat. So once when you got your best ships, best Corvettes out, you throw these guys in to help keep the rest of your Corvettes alive by trying to get the enemy anti-air Corvette attention. And these guys will really help you out with that. Next up, we got the Nebula Chaser. Nebula Chaser is a great ship for the B type. The A type is not good. It's not good at all because it doesn't have a high alpha damage. It's like the Silent Assassin, but I would say a better version of the Silent Assassin because there's no attack duration. So it really can increase its damage. So if you had a bunch of tech points pulled into it, I give my recommendation if you have that, which you might not, but you might, if you're waiting a long time, you could unlock the dual purpose Guardian and not have the pulse cannon type. I definitely recommend trying it. I think you might be impressed against frigate and destroyer fleets. But yeah, ultimately you want to go for that Pulsar Nebula Chaser, awesome damage. Finally, we have the Cellular Defender. This is probably the best pull for a Corvette. It does great in any situation, doing awesome DPM. The only place it will suffer is if you're against any battle cruisers with like 700 physical armor. It'll suffer a little bit against a carrier with max out armor, where it's noticeable, but it'll still dish out great damage. And it does have a missile evasion. Honestly, it's that only is beneficial in very small circumstances. The only circumstances is when really you're against the AC-721 missile. There's some capital ships that have good accuracy with their missile systems on anti-air. That's really the only time this comes to play in being effective from what I have seen in my experience. But that is it for Corvettes.